G'day everybody, it's Dave from Wing Chun Mind Force. Sorry you've missed me for a couple of weeks. I got a little bit crook, as we say in Australia, a bit sick. Got a slight chest infection. Feeling a lot better now, just joined the gym again after quite a while. Got my bicycle tyres pumped up, looking forward to the spring. And excited about Wing Chun as always. And I've been thinking about something I've wanted to share for a long time. So now I'm sharing it. I got this classic book, Bruce Lee by Jesse Glover, his first student and assistant instructor, which I bought on the 8th of the 8th of 91. So I've been a Bruce Lee tragic since 1967, when as a little fella I very enthusiastically watched The Green Hornet. Kato was the hero as far as I was concerned, and everything I saw him do on the show, I would race out into the front yard and practice that and take to school and show my mates. And in the 70s, discovered Bruce again. Didn't quite connect that he was Kato at first because he looked a bit different, and absolutely loved his movies. We didn't have video back then. Bruce wasn't on the TV, so we used to just go to the movies every weekend and watch whatever Bruce Lee movie he was showing. We'd drive all around town, go to the drive-in, just mad about Bruce. And there were some good TV shows came out at times. My teacher's teacher, Lawrence Lee, who taught my teacher, Tony Aston, was from Sydney, but he was quite well known in Australia at that time, and he made a show called The World of Kung Fu, which is yet to be re-released, and one called Kung Fu Killers, which you can find out there. But anyway, it was an exciting time, the mid to late 70s. And when I started Wing Chun in 97, it was a dream come true to finally learn and to discover that my Sifu, Jim Fung, was actually, he knew Bruce, went to the same school as him in Hong Kong, that our Sigong, their grandmaster, actually would have taught Bruce at some stage. He used to teach Master Yip Man's classes mostly, and of course Master Wong Chun Lung was there, who really took Bruce under his wing. Anyway, I want to share something amazing that Jesse shares at the end of this, quite a long book. It's all like hand typed. Got lots of cool pictures in here that are very unusual. Apparently it's quite a rare little book. Jesse writes, looking back on some of the things that Bruce used to talk about, I can see that much of his motivation came from reading about the exploits of the famous old masters. Most of his effort in Gung Fu was the result of trying to do the things that they were said to have done. And anybody who knows about Bruce has seen his scrapbooks and different things he put together, where he was fascinated by all the styles of Kung Fu, and doesn't matter how flowery or outlandish they might seem, he did really put a lot of thinking into it. He was a huge fan of traditional Kung Fu. And by the way, if he heard that people were putting down Kung Fu now and saying that it's not up to MMA, he would just laugh his head off. It's an absurd thing, but when you got people who don't know Kung Fu, think they do, come forward and get their heads beat in by some excellent boxer, kickboxer, tough guy, well, it's not the same thing as meeting a real Kung Fu master. Anyway, that aside, Jesse says, Bruce's advancement in Wing Chun always made me wonder if he was just another Wing Chun man who carried the art to its highest level of expression, or if he were indeed on a path of his own making. Over the years I've entertained both positions, and I've come to believe that he stuck pretty close to the Wing Chun basic principles. I would really like to see some of the top Wing Chun men that he trained with, so that I could compare their techniques to Bruce's. But Jesse was a really honest guy, and I loved that about him. And he tells the truth about Bruce, you know, and he calls out a lot of bullshit that people talk about Bruce, which I have to share in other videos coming up. But the thing is, he was of, you know, the very open position that Wing Chun really was what Bruce Lee was doing. And a couple of years ago, I was talking to my friend Tony Blenkow, who I consider one of the very top Wing Chun people in the world, certainly in Australia. And, you know, he's somebody that has taught me a lot of stuff, helped me go to higher levels. And he said to me one day, "You're a big Bruce Lee fan, aren't you, Dave?" He said, "Why don't you revisit Bruce?" And I said, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, "Well, just, you know, Bruce was very good and he deserves a rethink. You know, there's some people have this attitude, believe it or not, at least in Australian Wing Chun, Bruce was sort of nothing much, almost like a traitor to the art, you know, because people have said things about him over the years that he put down Wing Chun, or he thought Wing Chun had a lot of limits and he could go further by incorporating Taekwondo or whatever. How much of that's true or not, I can't absolutely say, but, you know, this is Jesse Glover, an early friend of his, his instructor in his first school, somebody who stuck with it for umpteen years, and he considered that Bruce always was a Wing Chun man. Which brings me to, what does that mean? And for me, it's that people tend to think of Wing Chun as this flat-footed, you know, you see these people up against some kind of, you know, really limber, powerful boxer, kickboxer, and they're doing this, and they've got a silk, you know, kung fu suit on. They look the part, but they're obviously not the part. You know, anybody who stands like that's a beginner in Wing Chun. It's, you know, a lot of schools do have a thing like that, but anybody who's gone on in Wing Chun, trained with any of the good people from Hong Kong, we all sort of just relax, we fong sung, and, you know, this is my stance like that. I mean, I can even be here, you know, straight in there, but I'll say, "No, mate, I don't want to fight. Prefer not to fight, but I'm ready to damn well fight and kick and whatever I've got to do." But I don't stand flat-footed like a lump of concrete. That's the forms. People see the forms, they see the way we step flat-footed and soft and relaxed in Chum Kyu, the way we stand in Still Nim Dao, and think, "Oh, well, that's how you fight." Well, it sort of is and it isn't. It's more training, it's wiring your brain to feel the immovable, centered body without any joints, and the power projects back, it doesn't come back into you. But you actually don't have to stand flat-footed. I would advise it at first. You know, do the forms properly, do the forms as they're taught, and be patient. But once you get to like the Bill G stage, especially when you're ready for the dummy, if you've got a real teacher, not just some guy who read a book, and they assess, you know, you really understand the principles. And it's not that hard to find people like me and, you know, Nima King and the guys in Adelaide and the guys in Sydney and guys in New Zealand, some good guys over in the States, some great guys over in England. I can't really speak for other places. I'm sure there's good people. I'm Chushong Tin lineage, so I consider ours the best. Sorry, that's typical, you know. I'm sure others think they're the best, but I can tell you that once you get to that level, you start to relax. And the thing about Chum Kyu is that you're locked, you sort of take that body from Still Nim Dao, and when you move it, you still keep that body, so you don't twist it. You know, there's no twisting allowed. But you learn to move from your center and feel this thing as one locked mass. And we do this thing where somebody holds your shoulders with one hand sort of behind your shoulder, one hand in front, and they try to stop you turning, and it's really difficult. And if you can do that effortlessly and move them, then you're getting the right connection of the whole body. But then Little G, we come alive, and all the joints, we start using these joints in here, and that whole thing is allowed to move because you've come to the point where you're alive, you're one thing, you're this sort of supple thing, and you've got the right mind state, and your spine is relaxed and connected from Tai Gong, you know, that perineum sort of closed, floating on water is my idea, like a ball connected to the top, maybe a feeling of coming above. But that's on, so you can be, you know, you can be Bruce Lee. You can, you know, it's a good idea to keep your chin down and don't stick it out, go and smack anyone. And, you know, guard yourself. Centerline, it's really very Wing Chun. And all those principles apply, but you can come alive. So you don't have to be stuck, and you can use things you like in other styles. There's a lot of stuff I learned in the old days when I was, you know, MMA, we called it non-traditional Kung Fu, but it was basically kickboxing. That's what everyone called it in the 80s. In the 70s, we just called it full contact karate or full contact non-traditional Kung Fu. We called it mixed martial arts, Jeet Kune Do principles, whatever. But all those things, I found them in Wing Chun. Found them in the dummy form. I found them right through the whole thing. So you can come alive. And just remember that the forms are training your body and mind to work as one, and they're training you to get effortless power against testing. That's the thing people miss. They think, well, yeah, these forms, but we don't just do the forms. In the Chu Shong Tin lineage, we do the forms when we're ready against increasing levels of pressure. So that, you know, somebody holds me here, can't move at all, they just hold a bit lightly, and I try to use the things I understand to do it, but eventually I want to be able to move it against somebody who's really trying to stop me. Just, you know. So we want to get that power in, but not stiff and formal. And what Bruce, on my wall here, I don't know if you can see that in this shot, but I've got these beautiful plaques that my friend David Rasco gave me years ago, a gift I've always greatly appreciated. Plaques from Bruce Lee's Kwoon. I think it was the one in San Francisco. One says fluidity, the two halves of one whole. Another has his Chinese motto. The last one says emptiness, the formless form. It's just black. I love that. More gyul, more sick. That means no form, no technique. And it's basically what I'm saying to you. It's being alive and moving, but you don't have to consider perfect form anymore, because you are perfect form. So it doesn't matter what you do, tiny movement, a big movement, you know, it all has the same effect of this whole body mass fluidly crushing somebody else's defense and structure, and the ability to drop all that mass at speed with pinpoint accuracy into somebody and just floor them, boom, boom, you know, not mucking around. So there's some wisdom about Bruce and from Bruce. Just as a finishing statement, my good friend and master I greatly admire, Sibuk Frederick Mo, who lives in New Zealand. He trained with Sigung Chu Shong Tin in Hong Kong from 1955 onwards. And Sibuk means, you know, master's big brother sort of thing. So my master Jim Fung started in 1960, and he would have learned a lot from Sibuk Frederick, but Sibuk Frederick told me a while ago that he still loves Bruce Lee. He's always a huge Bruce Lee fan, and that's something, the guy that's, you know, you could say he's the most senior guy in our Wing Chun, he still admires Bruce Lee. That tells you something. And I don't think Bruce was really ever putting down Wing Chun Kung Fu. He might have indicated some of the other Kung Fu styles were dry land swimming, you know, young guy, brash, sort of saying stuff that, you know, probably not real wise to put people down. Like Tai Chi always looked super flowery to me, but over the years I've started to really admire Tai Chi, and I see that these guys have got real Kung Fu, real Qigong, and so it's not wise to be all sort of brash and put things down when you don't really know what you're talking about. But yeah, Bruce Lee was a Wing Chun guy, and thanks to Jesse, we know that he considered Bruce was always a Wing Chun guy. So I'll leave it at that. I'll be talking more about Jesse and about Bruce as time goes on. Look forward to seeing you next time. Please subscribe. Please turn on the notifications. Please tell your friends about me. If you really disagree with what I'm talking about, please let somebody know who wants to disagree with me. I'd love to talk to some of these guys with big channels who have strong opinions. There's some classic people out there. Some of them I really agree with, and some I think, nah. But I'd like to have a chat with them and tell them about how we think, and maybe help them understand what we're on about, because of course, you get things secondhand. There's often little or big misunderstandings. People don't really realise what's going on. Okay, see you later.